Basculegion is a ghost fish that's honestly pretty scary. The male version has more attack and good HP bulk, but most of the time it's pretty predictable because it's often just ran as a rain sweeper with its swift swim ability. However, it also gets access to adaptability, which makes it stab attacks 2 times instead of the usual 1.5 times. We can run it on a rain-based team to pretend like it's going to be the usual swift swim, and then we pull out Scale Shot, which paired with the loaded dice item hits 4 to 5 times and boosts our speed in the process. Now being able to outspeed most threats without the Swift Swim, we get the benefit of adaptability paired with Terra Dragon. If we haven't used the Terra yet, adaptability plus rain boosted wave crashes destroy literally everything, and this is kind of just a fun way to surprise some people with the sneaky dragonfish. Today we're going to get up to a little bit of tomfoolery. Everybody's going to expect this Basculegion to be swift swimming, but instead we get the old element of surprise on our side, with Basculegion being able to hit stuff harder than usual with adaptability, and it's kind of fun. If you're into that kind of thing, guess what? It's actually, you have to hit that subscribe button. I don't make the rules. And with that, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so my opponent is going to go ahead and lead off with the Greninja, and I have myself a big old shiny doorknob. Looks like somebody took, a bottle of Windex and really polished Buddy up, and I'm just here to basically set up some Stealth Rock. Don't really care about what a Greninja can do. And they probably realized, yeah, they don't have much business. So they are going to switch out. They actually decide to end up bringing in everybody's favorite, chunky dragon fella. So Intimidate does not work because my body is in fact clear, even though you can visibly see, my body actually isn't clear. But that's actually nice. I do get a nice little Stealth Rock up. And the main thing about a Salamence switch in here that I'm worried about would be something like a Dragon Dance setup. So in order to stop that, I'm actually fully physically defensive. So I know that I can live Earthquakes, and that's actually what they're going to go for straight off the bat here. Now, it does do a huge chunk. That's because it's a crit. I'm like, yeah, ouch. That's actually not ideal, but it does allow me to get up a nice little Thunder Wave, and now I don't really have to be that worried about this thing being crazy setup. So with the pair there, I have the option to stay in here and get some damage with something like a Heavy Slam, but also it's not going to do much, and then I'm like, I'm probably better off getting a little momentum going, and also making it wet out here. So I'm actually going to end up switching into the Toilet Bird. That's literally all I can see when I see Pelipper. He's just right, yeah, he comes in, and immediately we're making it rain on these hoes. Now, Drizzle it's going to stick around because we have the Damp Rock, and it does a couple different things for the team as we switch into the Earthquake there nicely. So, first of all, it's going to enable Basculegion's wave crashes to just be even more insane with adaptability. Bluffs the fact that we're not going to be, Swift Swim, but also we've got some Swanna action going on back there, and it's pretty fun. So, first of all, I'm going to expect a switch here, just kind of in fear of, they probably are afraid of the Ice Beam. So, I actually just go for the U-turn instead, and that's going to bring me a good bit of momentum as they actually are going to bring in the Greninja here. So, we get a nice little bit of chip there, and at this point, I have a bunch of different options. Now, I decide to bring in the everybody's favorite freaking goose. Well, I mean, it's a swan, but Swanna is just the weirdest thing ever, and I'm like, hey, maybe I can actually get a kill here. Surely there's nothing that Greninja can do to me in terms of getting like a one-hit KO. So I'm just going to go for the Hurricane here, but the Frog has different ideas. They're going to bust out the Terra Electric, put the Light Bulb on the head, and I'm thinking this is kind of the Swanna's worst fear. And yeah, just one single zap of electricity is going to absolutely destroy my ass. They do have the Terra Blast, and yeah, that is the deadest Swanna you've ever seen. Looking like a turkey that got over-fried for Thanksgiving, and that's, not super great. And they also are going to reveal that, in fact, they are going to be Battle Bond as well. So now they get a special attack boost on top of that, and I'm like, well, this Greninja has turned into a problem. It wasn't that bad when it was an electric type, but now I have to use Dragalge. Now I got Assault Vest Dragalge, and if there's one thing you need to know about this damn seahorse is it just does not die to special attack. So I know that I can definitely at least take one, and then it should be in range for a Sludge Wave to kill. Now they do have the Ice Beam, and that is why we run the Assault Vest on this bad boy. We take it no problem, even at +1 special. And then a Sludge Wave is able to take care of it. So, honestly, I feel like that's a pretty good trade-off. I basically trade Swanna for them getting rid of their Greninja, and also the Terra. Honestly, them not having the Terra in the back pocket is really great for me. So, with that gone, now they can switch into whatever they like. And they decide to go into Glimmora here. This thing is always incredibly annoying, and I feel like it's probably just going to go for that Earth Power. But then I'm like, you know what? I do, in fact, really be dressing out here. I got that shit on. I should be able to take one, and I actually do. I live it with just 10 HP. It allows me to fire off a Draco Meteor, And sometimes, you know, even I'm the one wearing the assault vest and we're the one doing the assaulting. That takes care of the Glamora, and that's actually really nice. So we get some good momentum on our side there. At this point now, they do have some pretty big threats that they've got in the back pocket there with the 4 Mons left. So first of all, as they decide to go into the Metagross, I don't really want to hard swap into anything. Dragalge's not going to be doing much outspeeding. So I just go ahead, I let it go down to the Bullet Punch. And I still feel like that's a job well done from the Dragalge. So at this point, as Metagross comes in, it actually does reveal that it's going to be leftovers, which is honestly pretty good to know, knowing it's not going to be a weakness policy or, you know, any other type of potential set there. So at this point, I can now go into whatever I want. And guess what time it is, baby? It's time for the Slammin' Salmon. I'm going to bring in the Basculegion. And here's the thing, they are surely going to be expecting a wave crash here. You know, a Swift Swim, Choice Banded wave crashes is kind of just what people click on the Basculegion. So instead, I'm actually going to go for the little scale shot here. Now, they decide to switch into the Ogerpon Wellspring just because that fellow would be absorbing the hell out of that water. But instead, I just throw a bunch of my scales at him, and that's going to do, honestly, a pretty solid little chunk here. Obviously, it's not going to be adaptability boosted, but with 5 hits, that's going to be an easy 2-hit KO. And not only that, but also the main benefit going to be that speed boost we get with it. Now, we do get a defensive drop because we're just losing body parts out here, but you know, at this point now we're actually faster. We don't even need to be Swift Swim because at +1 with the scale shot, we are in fact faster. And I'm gonna go for another one. I can finish it off with one more. Luckily, we don't miss. That's always the, you know, the downfall to this damn move is that it pretty much always misses. But we get lucky, we do connect, and that takes care of the Ogerpon. So now Basculegion is actually in a pretty nice spot here, and we're at -2 defense but +2 speed, and we're out here zooming away. It's also funny that the rain does actually stop, so you know we're left high and dry out here where ordinarily we'd be a slow Basculegion, but we're sitting at +2. We are definitely faster than everything, and with the adaptability boost, wave crashes still do a ton. So as they go into the Chandelure here, it is going to take that Stealth Rock chip. We obviously can outspeed. They also do not have a Terra that they're able to go for, so a wave crash is just going to be able to take care of it, and that is going to be a dead ghostly little fella. So one thing that they do have is the Salamence with Intimidate, and that's kind of what we've been worried about. They are going to swap into this Salamence here. Now, it is at full health. It is also wearing heavy-duty boots because it does not take the Stealth Rock damage. But at -1 attack, I'm like, you know what? That's actually, that should be fine because I can bust out the Dragon Terra here, and then I can hit that super effective scale shot. And that actually gives me that adaptability boost being now Dragon types. That's exactly what we're going to do. And if you thought the dead fish was menacing before, now we're a dragon dead fish, and that's pretty damn badass. So we put the dragon on our head here, and this is why Scale Shot is sick as hell. And Ice Fang actually doesn't kill in this range, but a boosted Scale Shot with the guaranteed at least 4 hits should be able to do it. We see the first 2 come through, does bring it below half, and that is going to take care of the Salamence. So we don't even care about being at -1 attack. Your Intimidate does not matter. Down goes the Ments, and we're out here, we're rolling with the fish, and it's not even raining out, which is always fun to see. They are down to 1 Mon left, and it's going to end up being that Metagross. So as I'm just stacking up the defensive drops here, one thing I'm worried about is going to be that priority Bullet Punch from the thing. And they're also actually probably worried about my Ghost coverage. I actually do not have the Ghost coverage on the guy, so I have a different idea. I'm actually just going to end up swapping into Pelipper here because obviously we deal with any type of Steel Stab, but also we can bring that rain back up to then bring Basculegion if needed in the rain later on. So Toilet comes in, makes it rain. We're just out here flushing it down. They do go for the knockoff actually. That's going to get rid of the Damp Rock. Doesn't really matter, and we take that kind of, you know, no problem. We're just out here flapping away like a crazy little pelican that we are. And the bad thing is the Metagross is at full health. So at this point, I decide to go, I click Weather Ball. I thought I actually misclicked. Listen, I clicked Hurricane, and that is actually not ideal. I figure it's probably fine because they just go for a knockoff again, and Hurricane doesn't do anything, which is actually bad news. Weather Ball was definitely the play, and I'm like, well, that's fine. I have the Basculegion in the back, but honestly, a little extra chip there would have been kind of nice. Also, shout out to why is Metagross floating like that with his arms all weird? Sometimes they come in like this, and sometimes his feet are touching the ground. I have no idea what the hell's going on, but it does take care of the Pelipper, and it's actually still very close to full HP. And if this is more of a bulky Metagross, which I am kind of led to believe that because it's leftovers, a Wave Crash, even with adaptability in the rain, doesn't fully grab a kill here. And that's why I'm like, well, I probably should have just clicked the right move there. But, I mean, Basculegion should be able to clutch it out. So I go for that Wave Crash. And the good news is, it's going to do a dickload of damage. That's gonna make Metagross way easier to deal with. We get a huge chunk play, and as they go for the knockoff, it brings me down to 33, which Gets, first of all, rid of my loaded dice, which doesn't really matter, but now I'm actually in range for a bullet punch to kill. And now he's just over here eating leftovers, and this bulky Metagross has become more of an issue than we had once thought. So a bullet punch takes care of Basculegion, and I'm like, hold on, I may actually be cooked. Am I cooked? Find out next time on Haydunn Ball Z, or just find out right now, because here's what I've got left. I've got, you know, Metagross's deformed cousin in the Registeel, who is not looking great on health, and I'm worried about like an earthquake coverage. But also, I have this dude who's ready to damn disco. I got the Lurantis with the sick striped pants on, and here's the thing. This Metagross should be able to outspeed me, which is not great, but I have the knockoff, and surely I can live one attack from this thing. They go for the Heavy Slam, which does a ton of damage, but luckily I tell him to knock it off, and that's going to take care of the crazy deformed ass Metagross. So that was closer than I thought I was going to be with that thing at the end, and luckily down goes the Xbox, and that's going to be the end of the match. So I thought that was just an interesting one that kind of came down to it there at the end. But you know, that's going to bring us into our next match, because that's how we do it around here. If you've stuck around this far into the video, you should probably hit that like button. I think it helps out the channel, or some, I don't know, YouTube likes it, and yeah, and you know, we're not taking any breaks out here. Let's get into it. Alright, so this time my dude's actually going to lead off with the Poltegeist. And this little T-bastard always gives me PTSD. It seems like especially as a lead, because most of the time they're just going to shell smash and just give you trouble. But luckily, you know, Registeel doesn't really care about a smash in Teapot, so I'm just going to go ahead and just be like, I don't mind. I'm just going to lay down my Stealth Rock and be a doorknob and then just soak up attacks all damn day out here. So they actually are going to end up bringing in Cerulege, and this is a fella that, you know, I have the coverage with an Earthquake. I'm kind of just like, I don't really want to deal with this thing. Maybe setting up a Swords Dance, and then Bitterblade hurts. So what I'm going to do is bring in it's potty time, baby. I'm going to bring in the Pelipper here. I can get up that rain, which, you know, not only dampens that fire damage, but also just enables Basculegion and just other stuff we got even further. So we come in, we make it rain out here, and they go straight for that Bitterblade, which is perfect, because that doesn't do anything. We take it right to the chin. Luckily, Buddy's got the biggest damn chin ever, and that's a critical hit that doesn't really matter. So, surely this thing does not stay in against a Pelipper, and that you already know is going to allow us to gain some momentum with a U-turn. And they actually they go right back into the damn Sinistea here, who does take some Stealth Rock, so breaks a potential Focus Sash. And with the U-turn, it doesn't do anything, but what it does do is actually gives it that weak armor. And now it's going to drop the defense, but it actually just raises the speed sharply, and that's going to change the dynamic a little bit in terms of swapping into Basculegion here, because if I didn't get that thing a weak armor boost, I do outspeed, at least bluffing as a Swift Swimmer, but now it's gonna actually be faster regardless, and as I go Basculegion, I'm kind of forced to bust out the Terra in a defensive way here. So I'm gonna go for that Dragon Terra and click the Scale Shot, because you know, as I get it off, it's definitely gonna kill, and they do have the coverage with things like a Stab Shadow Ball, so I do basically need to get out of that Ghost typing. I turn my ass into a Water Ghost Dragon, and that should allow me to take anything this wants to throw at me. And then honestly, Basculegion looks very good against 13. So it turns out they're actually going to go for the Giga Drain there. They probably figured, hey, maybe I can heal myself back up to Focus Sash range, which would be crazy. But Giga Drain does not hurt us because we are a dragon as hell. And that allows me to fire off the Scale Shot, which does connect and just blast his ass with some crazy pixels. It is every hit going to activate weak armor, which is kind of funny because it's like, yeah, go ahead and take that boost, and then now your defensive drop just did the second one kills. So we just keep 3 tucked in the chamber, and down goes the Poltegeist. And at this point, we are in full turns of rain with +1 speed. We can outspeed everything, and adaptability Basculegion is just an absolute monster. You hate to be the guy on the receiving end. So first, they're going to try the Tinkaton. They're like, if anything, the big-ass hammer can, I don't know, maybe take a hit here and then kill with like a Play Rough. So they bring in the hammer, and I'm like, this is fine. I've got that rain. I have an adaptability-boosted Wave Crash, and it's time to go Cowabunga on that ass. We do just straight up delete the Tinkaton with the Wave Crash, which is awesome. And that is why this thing is very fun with just extra damage. So yeah, it's basically, they're kind of cooked at this point, as you know, even just at +1 speed, I'm faster than everything, and as they go into the Dragonite here, I bust out the Scale Shot. Luckily, they actually do not extreme speed, because it does allow us to get off the Scale Shot, and that is going to be, yeah, we don't even need to get rid of most of our scales at this point. 2 is going to take care of it, and we are once again on the Basculegion rampage. So with what they have left, it doesn't look like anything literally outspeeds Basculegion here, especially with the +2 on the Scale Shot there. I do have minimal defense if they have the priority, I'm cooked, but as they decide to bring in the Golden Go, this is a Cinnamon and is the Winamon ass fella that does not want to deal with an adaptability, rain boosted freaking wave crash. So they actually just run. They're like, yeah, I'm done with that. That's going to take care of that match. They finished it early. So, we have a little bonus match for you. Because this thing is actually, it's pretty fun. I gotta say, I haven't used a lot of Basculegion, but from what this thing is a very fun way to use it. So, opponent has an interesting squad, and let's go ahead and jump into it. Alright, so this time my opponent is gonna go ahead and lead off with Lucario. Buddy is covered in piss and ready to party. So, I'm actually gonna end up leading off with the Pelipper this time, and I get up that rain immediately, which is always nice. So, I'm not necessarily worried about Lucario here. I can actually pretty freely get up a nice little Hurricane, covers for switches, whatever they might want to do. They actually are just gonna stay in and just go for the knockoff, which does get rid of my damp rock, which it's always nice to have a wet rock in your pocket, and now it's gone, which is rude. So Hurricane actually is going to end up taking it out, and that's because it's freaking Hisuian Zoroark over here. Honestly, kind of forgot that was an option, and it's not Focus Sash, so that just takes care of it, and that's actually especially nice because now that means I don't have to worry about anything else hiding as a Zoroark. And now on the Revenge switch, they decide they can bring in the Punchin' Pikachu, and this thing, it's quite a problem to the team, but I realize my best switch is probably going to be the Lurantis here. I can take pretty much anything this wants to do unless it's too close combats, but it decides to just go for the Volt switch anyway. So it's not going to do much, but it's going to allow them some momentum, bring in a better matchup versus Lurantis. And honestly, Lurantis looks pretty good against their squad. Main thing that they have as a good counter would be something like the Cinderace. Except we do have the Rain up, so I can likely live a Pyro Ball. Now, they decide to bring in the Inteleon. Skinny Lizard is just standing there with his hand on his hip and just judging me, and I'm not necessarily worried. I know that I can take an Ice Attack because I'm actually max special defense. Now, problem is they go for a Blizzard, and that does a whole bunch and gets the Freeze. Turns my ass into a Disco Popsicle, and that's not ideal. So, I mean, I do live the Blizzard nicely, but then the Freeze just kind of ruins it. And at this point, they actually are going to end up going for the Reflect. So, Buddy's got they got the dual screens, at least I imagine, on the Inteleon, and they're fully taking advantage of the fact that I'm just sitting over here, frozen, which is annoying. Now, they are going to end up going for that Light Screen, which is bad because I actually thought out, which is great, but with that Light Screen up, a Leaf Storm is not going to be able to kill. And at least, however, Lurantis gets a sharp boost from that because Contrary is sweet, and now all they got to do is finish me off with one more Blizzard, but luckily they missed. The Blizzard and the Rain is going to end up missing, which is great, and that allows me to fire off another Leaf Storm, which does take care of it. And now I'm sitting at +4 special on the Lurantis, and if I can take a hit, we can actually do some pretty solid, puncture some holes in the squad here with the crazy Grass Bug. So now they're going to bring in the Cinderace, and at this point, I've taken enough chip to the point where I probably feel like a Pyro Ball, even in the rain, does kill me. That's where they're going to bust out, and yep, my special defensive ass has no business living that. So that's going to take care of Lurantis, and I got a couple decisions to make here on who kind of wants to come in here. I decided it seems like a pretty good opportunity to just bring right in the Bass, and well, he's a Slime and Salmon, but he's a Bass, and I'm here to do some stuff. So the good thing is they are going to switch because Cinderace likely imagines that I'm Swift Swim, going to get outsped, and they probably shouldn't stay in there fearing a wave crash. So they decide to actually switch into the Meowscarada here, who, does check Basculegion relatively well, especially being that they still have the Reflect up. So they're going to be more bulky on the physical side. And as I go for that Scale Shot, it is not going to do a whole lot, even with, 1,000 hits with the damn loaded dice. But after some 5 hits, we get a little bit of chip damage, and that's going to give me my speed boost. So here's the thing. With max speed investment and 1 Scale Shot, I actually am able to outspeed a Meowscarada, even if it's just Jolly and max speed itself. So the rain goes away, which leads me to believe they probably think I'm switching out of here, thinking, I'm just going to get outsped because I don't have my Swift Swim. However, I'm fully invested here, and now I decide after the Reflect goes away, a Terra boosted Scale Shot should be able to finish off the Meowscarada, which is nice because once we get through the Meowscarada, we're faster than everything they've got, and look, the fish looks pretty damn good, and we're gonna connect on the Scale Shot. Luckily, we're getting lucky on some Scale Shot rolls. It's just not as reliable as you'd want it to be, just because of that 10% miss chance. But we connect, and we don't even need the the dice to be fully loaded. I guess it does still take 4 hits. That 5th hit is always just a gamble still as well. But that's gonna take care of Meowscarada. That's honestly a big and quite annoying threat out of the way. So with that gone, we do take another defense drop. But with that comes another speed boost, and your boy is just out here quick as hell. So the Light Screen also wears off. They've no longer got any defensive support with that. And so now they go back into the Palm Mod, and this thing, it's not going to be fast enough to outspeed me, surely. I could just go for another scale shot here. Kind of thought there maybe be a weird terrestrialization, but they don't. And as I see that scale shot damage, it's looking relatively close, but it always just seems to do more than you think. And we actually end up getting a crit on one of them, and that is going to be a dead and fake-ass Pikachu. So no Mach Punch, luckily there, for the priority to hit us while our defenses are down, but we should have been able to at least still take one of them. Regardless, that takes care of the Palmont, and boom, we're just out here on yet another rampage with the fish. So now we're going to see what they want to go into. They're actually going to bring in the Lucario. Now, this is the kind of the guy I'm actually worried about because of extreme speed. And while they are going to go for that, I actually am able to live, which is great because we're at -3 defense, and as long as it's not like a choice band Terra normal set, we do live. That then allows me to go for a wave crash. And the thing is, it actually is able to live. It barely hangs on, which is mostly just because the rain wasn't up, but I got a little problem on my hands because now, you know, another extreme speed kills me. So I gotta do a little damage control here, and I'm just gonna swap right into the Pelipper here. I know that, you know, I can definitely take an extreme speed and just take it right on the build. The freaking Pelipper, as long as you're not getting shocked by 1 watt of electricity, you're actually a pretty bulky fella. So he goes for extreme speed again, and the Weather Ball is gonna be able to pick it off. So, you know, the one thing you do have to worry about is physical priority when you're setting up a ton of scale shots, but luckily if it's not like a stab one or just like a crazy Dragonite with Terra Normal, you're probably pretty good. So, with that, their final Mon is going to end up being the Cinderace here, and I'm like, this is fine. I can just go ahead and kill him with a nice little Weather Ball, show him what the weather's all about, but they actually end up going for the Trailblaze. Now, not only is that going to turn them into the Grass type, but also, it's giving her a speed boost. And now this thing is just surely faster than literally everything. And, I mean, actually was before. But the Weather Ball now being Grass type is not going to be enough to kill it. And I'm like, is this Cinderace going to be a problem? Hopefully not. So they do kill me with one more Trailblaze there. They give themselves to +2 speed. Doesn't really matter because the Cinderace is just absolutely zooming anyway. And now I have to figure out my kind of best option for this, which is, you know, I have fully defensive Registeel, who in the range can definitely be able to live. A Pyro Ball, you just worry about things like a high jump kick, but guess what? I got the Swanna out here, baby. Swanna should be able to take an attack. And we have the 100% accurate Hurricane, so not something you say often, but it kind of comes down to Swanna clutching it out. Now, they are going to actually bust out the Terra, a little late game Terra. They actually are going to pull out the Stellar, which is, you know, not something you see often, but it is going to give you that Terra boost on every single attack at least once. So they are going to actually end up going for the Trailblaze. Now, the good thing about Swanna, we resist both of this thing's kind of options. It probably has like some type of fighting coverage, Pyro Ball, and we resist both of those. So Trailblaze is kind of their best option. Luckily, we do live, and the Hurricane is going to take care of it because it still keeps that defensive typing with the Stellar. So that's going to finish off the Cinderace, and that's going to finish off the game. So I thought that was a fun one. Freaking look at Swanna coming in and like actually doing something. Hell yeah. So that's going to be the end of the video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Had a lot of fun with this one, as always. And yeah, make sure you leave a like on the video, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.